At my father's funeral, people spoke about him like he was a failure. Good man, hard-working man. Life was just difficult for him. I stood there listening to all of it. The truth is, they weren't completely wrong. We struggled almost my entire life. The rent was always late. The car barely worked. And somehow, there was never enough money. So when I saw a black SUV pull into the cemetery that afternoon, I noticed immediately. A man stepped out wearing a dark suit, clean shoes, expensive watch, calm face. He looked completely out of place. He didn't speak to anybody, didn't introduce himself, didn't even stay long. He just walked quietly to my father's grave, stood there for a few seconds, then turned and looked at me. Before leaving, he handed me a small envelope. "Your father changed my life," he said. Then he walked away. That was it. No long speech, no dramatic moment, just one sentence. That night, after everybody left the house, I opened the envelope alone in my room. I expected money. Honestly, I hoped for it. Instead, there was only a letter. The handwriting looked old. It said, "In 1998, I lost everything. Everybody disappeared. Your father was the only man who helped me when I had nothing." I stopped reading for a second, because none of it made sense. My father never talked about helping rich people. Most of the time, we could barely help ourselves. I kept reading. He gave me a place to sleep for 3 months, fed me when he barely had food himself, and every morning before work, he reminded me not to give up on my life. I stared at the paper for a long time. Suddenly, memories started returning. Strange memories I never understood as a child. Random people greeting my father with unusual respect. Men in expensive cars stopping to shake his hand. Old neighbors calling him chairman, even though he never owned anything impressive. Back then, I thought it meant nothing. But maybe, I simply didn't understand the kind of wealth he actually had. 3 days later, the rich man invited me to his office. I had never seen a place like that before. Glass walls, quiet elevators, people walking around in expensive suits. The kind of life I thought only existed online. He offered me coffee, then looked at me and said something I still think about till today. "Your father was not poor." I almost laughed, because I knew what our bank account looked like. I knew the embarrassment of overdue bills. I knew what it felt like watching other families live better than us. But the man continued speaking. "Money is only one type of wealth," he said. "Your father understood something most people never learn." Then he pointed toward the window overlooking the city. "Do you know how many rich men nobody loves?" I stayed quiet. "Do you know how many successful people die with empty rooms at their funeral?" His voice became softer. "Your father built people. That is why his name still has value." For the first time in my life, I stopped measuring success by appearance. Because the truth is, my father never looked successful. But somehow, years after helping people, they still remembered him. Not because he was powerful, not because he was rich, but because when people were at their lowest, he treated them like human beings. And honestly, that kind of value is becoming rare. A few months after the funeral, my life started changing. Not overnight, not magically, but mentally. I became less obsessed with looking successful and more focused on becoming useful. I stopped trying to impress strangers online, stopped comparing my life to everybody else, stopped chasing quick money with desperate energy. And slowly, opportunities started appearing differently. Real relationships felt different too. Because my father was right all along, even though he never directly said it. A good name will open doors that money cannot. And sometimes, the poorest person in the room is not the one without money, it's the one without value.